You really thought I was sleeping alone this whole time? That's what my husband said to me. 3 months after we started our so-called sleep divorce. 3 months after I agreed to sleep in separate rooms to save our marriage. And yeah, I'm standing there in our Denver kitchen, holding my coffee, thinking, am I in the wrong here? Because I was the one who suggested we try this. I was the one who read some article online about how separate bedrooms could actually bring couples closer, save the intimacy, fix the resentment, all that jazz. Mark and I had been married for 5 years. We had the house in Capitol Hill, the joint bank account, the whole picket fence dream. Except the fence was rotting and nobody was fixing it. He snored. I tossed and turned. We were both miserable. So when he came to me with this sleep divorce idea, tears in his eyes saying he didn't want to lose me to something as stupid as bad sleep, I bought it. I bought every single word. But here's the thing. If you're watching this, and you've ever tried sleeping apart from your partner to fix what was broken, drop a comment below. Tell me if it actually worked. Because for me, it became the biggest mistake of my life. And what I found out? It'll make you want to smash that subscribe button just so you don't miss how this ends. Trust me. I still remember the night Mark proposed the idea. He sat on the edge of our mattress, the one we'd shared since our wedding night, and he said, "Sarah, I love you, but I think I'm killing us with my snoring. I'm killing your sleep. And if we don't sleep, we don't love." Man, that hit me right in the chest. Because he was right. I was exhausted. I was irritable. I was snapping at him over dishes and dry cleaning and whose turn it was to walk the dog. We weren't having sex anymore because I was too tired. We weren't talking over dinner because I was too cranky. So when he suggested the guest room, our spare bedroom with the yellow walls, it felt like a lifeline. Not a separation, a solution. "Just for a month," he said. "Let's treat it like an experiment. If it doesn't work, I'll be back before you can miss me." I should have noticed how specific he was about the timeline. But I was 32, married to the man I thought was my forever, and I was willing to try anything. So I hugged him. I told him I loved him for being proactive. And that night, I slept in the master bedroom alone for the first time in years. The first week was heaven. I sprawled across the entire mattress. I didn't wake up once. I had energy. I made pancakes. I even initiated sex one Tuesday night, walking into the guest room in nothing but his old t-shirt. And for a moment, it felt like we were dating again. Like the sleep divorce was actually working. But then week 2 hit. Mark stopped coming to me. He'd kiss my forehead, retreat to his room, and click the lock. He said the door was warped. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? This was Mark. The guy who cried at our wedding and held my hand when my mom got sick. Week 3, I started noticing things. The guest room smelled different, like vanilla and something musky. I don't wear vanilla. I wear lavender. When I asked him about it, he laughed and said he'd bought a new air freshener. "Trying to make my bachelor pad smell nice," he joked. I laughed too, but it didn't reach my eyes. Then there was the phone. Mark had always been protective of it, but now it was surgically attached to his body. He took it to the bathroom. He slept with it under his pillow. He angled the screen away from me when he texted. When I asked who he was talking to so late, he said work. The guy works in IT support for a dental office in Lakewood. What dental emergency happens at midnight? I told myself I was being paranoid, so I decided to surprise him. I took a half-day Friday, bought his favorite Thai food pad CEO, extra broccoli, and I was going to set up a romantic dinner in the guest room. Candles. Music. I was going to remind him why we were doing this. I walked through the front door at 4:30, balancing that greasy bag and a bottle of cheap wine, and I heard it, giggling. From the guest room, a woman's giggle, high and breathy. My heart didn't break right then. It stopped, like someone hit pause on my entire life. I stood in the hallway, Thai food getting cold, and I listened. I shouldn't have, but you would have too. Don't lie to yourself. You would have stood there and listened to every sound through that door. Then I heard Mark's voice. Not the voice he used with me. His flirty voice. The one from when we first started dating. "She has no idea," he said. "She actually thinks this is helping our marriage." The bag hit the floor. Pad C EU everywhere. I kicked the door open with numb, mechanical force, and I saw them. Mark on the bed I'd made for him with fresh sheets. And beside him, scrolling through her phone like she owned the place, was my sister, my baby sister, Claire. She was 26. She'd been living with us for 8 months, saving up for her own place after a bad breakup. Mark had suggested she move in. Family takes care of family, he'd said. And there she was, wearing my robe, the one my mom gave me before she died. I didn't scream. I wish I had. Instead, I just said, "Claire, get out of my house." My voice didn't even shake. Mark jumped up, pulling the sheet around his waist. "Sarah, wait. Don't. Don't you dare say my name right now." Claire didn't even look embarrassed. She looked annoyed. "Sarah, it's not what you think," she said, which is literally the worst sentence in the English language. "You're in my robe, in my guest bed, with my husband, and you just giggled at how stupid I am. So tell me, Claire, what exactly should I be thinking?" Mark tried to touch my arm. I jerked away and knocked over the wine bottle. Red wine everywhere. Like blood. "We can explain," he said. "Explain what? That the sleep divorce was a setup? That you needed separate rooms so you could screw my sister without me hearing? How long, Mark?" The silence was worse than any answer. Then Claire spoke, her words like a knife made of ice. 6 months, before I even moved in. He told me about the sleep divorce idea before he told you. We planned it together. 6 months. We'd only been sleep divorced for 3, which meant for 3 months before our experiment, my husband and my sister were already laughing behind my back, plotting. The snoring complaints, the exhaustion, the tears in his eyes. All scripted. All a performance so he could lock that door every night. I walked out. I went to the kitchen and stared at the calendar on our fridge. Our anniversary circled in red. Claire's move-in date marked with a smiley face. Mark had drawn it. Now I knew why. He followed me, still in that stupid sheet, begging me to listen. "It just happened. We didn't mean to hurt you." I turned and looked at him. I wasn't looking at the man I married. I was looking at a stranger wearing my husband's skin. You know what's funny? I actually felt guilty. I thought the sleep divorce meant I was giving up on us. I thought I was in the wrong for needing space. And the whole time, you were using my guilt against me. He had nothing to say. I spent that night at a hotel. The crappy one by the highway where the ice machine sounds like a dying animal. I didn't sleep. I sat on the bed, going through our photos, our wedding, our first Christmas. And in every picture, I started seeing things I hadn't noticed. The way Claire stood too close to him, the way his hand lingered on her back. It had always been there. I just hadn't wanted to see it. But here's where it gets worse. The next morning, I logged into our joint laptop. I found a folder labeled Denver Renovation Ideas. Except, we weren't renovating. We were barely making the mortgage. Inside were documents, bank statements, transfer records, emails. Mark had been draining our savings $30,000 into an account I didn't know existed, with Claire's name on it. They weren't just having an affair. They were building a life together, with my money. While I was sleeping alone, feeling guilty, they were planning their escape. There were emails going back almost a year. Once Sarah gets used to the sleep divorce, she won't question the locked door. She's so desperate to fix things. She'll agree to anything. By the time she figures it out, we'll have enough to start over. I read until my vision blurred. They called me desperate, gullible. They treated me like a mark and a con, not a wife, not a sister. I could have screamed and thrown things. I wanted to burn that house down, but something clicked, something cold and sharp. If I exploded now, they would win. Mark would say I was unstable, that the sleep divorce proved I couldn't handle intimacy. They had a narrative ready. They'd already written my part, so I decided to rewrite it. I copied everything, every email, every bank record. I sent it to my private email, closed the laptop, and called my best friend Jenna, who works in family law. I asked her one question. If I can prove he planned this, how much can I take him for? Jenna laughed. Not a happy laugh, a predator's laugh. Sarah, if this is true, you're getting the house, his $401k, his car, and possibly criminal charges for wire fraud. Sleep tight, honey. For the first time in 3 months, I actually slept. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the part. I smiled at Mark. I asked how his night was in the guest room. I even suggested we extend the sleep divorce another month to really make sure we're healed. He almost couldn't hide his relief. He thought he'd won. He thought I was the same desperate Sarah who would do anything to save her marriage. Meanwhile, I built a case. I hired a forensic accountant. I found Claire had been added to our phone plan 6 months ago. Mark said it was a family discount. I found charges for hotel rooms in Boulder, for lingerie in sizes that weren't mine, for a pregnancy test. Yeah, a pregnancy test, 2 weeks ago. When I saw that charge, I didn't cry. I laughed. A horrible, broken laugh. Because of course she was pregnant. Of course they were going to have a baby with my savings in a house I was still paying for. The audacity was so grotesque it became almost funny. I waited for the perfect moment. Mark's parents were coming to town. His mom Linda loved me. She'd always said I was the daughter she never had. His dad Robert was old school, believed divorce was a sin. Mark was counting on their judgment to keep me quiet. They arrived Saturday morning. I made coffee, baked cinnamon rolls. I was the perfect hostess. Then, after breakfast, at the dining table, I pulled out my laptop. "Before we catch up," I said, voice sweet as honey, "I wanted to show everyone something Mark and I have been working on." Mark smiled. He thought I was going to show our budget or basement plans. He thought I was still the dutiful wife. I turned the laptop around. I pulled up the email thread, the bank records, the photo I'd taken of Claire in my robe, in my guest bed. I didn't say anything. I let them read, let them see. Linda's face went white. Robert's jaw clenched. And Mark? He went from confused to horrified to furious in 3 seconds. "What the hell is this? Where did you get this?" "From your laptop, honey," I said sweetly. "The one you left unlocked. You really should be more careful with passwords. Biscuit 123 isn't exactly secure. You went through my private..." "Private?" I cut him off, my voice breaking with rage. "You stole $30,000, Mark. You planned an affair with my sister for a year. You manipulated me into a sleep divorce to hide your cheating in my own house. And you want to talk to me about privacy?" Claire walked in from the kitchen. She saw the laptop. She saw Linda's tears, and she ran. Grabbed her purse and ran out the front door. Didn't even look back. Mark tried to blame her, said she seduced him, but Robert stood up. This 60-year-old man who never raised his voice pointed at his son. "You get out. You don't come back until you're ready to beg this woman for forgiveness. And even then, I don't know if I'll ever look at you the same." Mark left that day with a duffel bag and his tail between his legs. His parents stayed. Linda held my hands and cried, but I didn't need her apology. I needed my house back. My bed is back. I needed to sleep in the master bedroom without wondering what was happening behind a locked door 3 feet away. It's been 6 months since that breakfast. 6 months since I took my house back, my sleep back, my life back. Mark tried to fight the divorce. He tried to say I was emotionally abusive, that the sleep divorce was proof I couldn't maintain a healthy marriage. But the judge took one look at my evidence, the emails, the financial records, the timeline of their affair, and awarded me everything. The house, the savings, even alimony, which my lawyer said was rare in Colorado. But fraud is fraud, and manipulation is manipulation, no matter how you dress it up. Claire tried to reach out once. She sent a text from a new number, saying she lost the baby and that Mark left her. She said she was sorry. I didn't block her number. I just never replied. Some apologies don't deserve a response. They deserve silence. As for Mark, last I heard, he's living in some studio apartment in Aurora, working the same IT job, trying to rebuild his life with nothing. And you know what? I don't feel bad. I don't feel guilty. I don't lie awake wondering if I was too harsh, too cold, too unforgiving. But I do still ask myself sometimes, am I in the wrong? Not for what I did to him. Not for the revenge or the public exposure or taking him for everything he had. I ask if I was wrong for not seeing it sooner, for letting desperation blind me to the fact that real love doesn't need separate rooms to survive. Real love doesn't lock doors and hide phones and drain bank accounts while you're trying to save the marriage. So if you're watching this, and you're in a relationship where you're always the one compromising, always the one feeling guilty, Always the one sleeping alone while someone else is living a double life. Stop questioning yourself. Stop asking if you're in the wrong for wanting the truth. You're not. You never were. Drop a comment if you've ever been through something like this. Subscribe if you want to see how I rebuilt my life from scratch. And hit that notification bell, because next week, I'm telling the story of how I met the guy who actually deserves the master bedroom. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.